Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Chris with Inside the U back here again after the Hurricanes' fourth fall practice. Again, they had practice yesterday. We weren't able to be out here. All it was a walkthrough followed by some team meetings, so a very light day. And then today they were out here in shoulder pads for the first time that we've seen, and they did have shorts, so it wasn't full pads, but it was still great to see the shoulder pads, the physical contact. I'll talk about some offensive line, defensive line stuff I watched today, as well as some other contact things I saw. But first, I want to get to that canesfest has been canceled due to the inclement weather. Very disappointing because of the storm in the area, but fans aren't going to be able to come out to Hard Rock Stadium and watch the team play on Sunday as originally scheduled and have the autograph session and all of that. It's certainly a great fan environment to get everybody excited for this season. But I can tell by the comments either on this channel or on the website there on InsideTheU.com that many of you are already excited, and I want to share some things that maybe will excite you even more because of things I saw today. So again, we're able to watch 5 periods at the beginning of practice, able to film 4 of them, but in that 5th period that we're still able to be out there, it's that half-line drill that I've spoken so much about already, which is the quarterback on one side of the field, they'll throw it to 2 wide receivers or 2 offensive players against 3 defenders, and it's just a lot of fun watching them kind of go at it, and they kind of take turns on the left side, then they go to the right side. But there were plays that I want to touch on that the offense made that stood out to me, but I want to start with Xavier Restrepo because I had a good chat with him after practice as well to gain some insight on something I've been noticing in the spring and already seen it again in the fall that seems a little bit different to me, and I think it's going to benefit the Hurricanes, and I asked him about that. But again, today on a rep, got downfield as we saw a lot in the spring, got downfield, made like a 30-yard catch, came back on it. It was a contested one-on-one opportunity, and he came down with the ball. He just has this great knack for coming down with the ball. And I find it to be very unique because he is a smaller receiver, he's not the tallest, and the catches he makes downfield that I've been seeing resemble someone that's a 6'4" receiver, you know, that big possession receiver. But X just has developed this really big knack on being able to come down on some one-on-one opportunities. And that's what I wanted to ask him about after his media session with the reporters. I was able to talk with him, chat with him, get a little bit more insight on that. And I asked him about it, and he said, yes, absolutely, it's been a point of emphasis for him this off-season. He feels like he's been labeled, you know, as an intermediate guy that can only just get open out of the slot, that kind of a guy, rack up production that way. And certainly he does do that, but he wants to be able to expand his game, and he said he's made it a point of emphasis that he doesn't want to be known, doesn't want to be labeled as only an intermediate guy. And he says, you know, simply put, even in practice, he feels doubted out there. And I asked him, I was like, you're still dealing with the doubts and people doubting his abilities, especially in practice, and because I'm surprised by it. It's one thing if he was a young player, or when he was younger, you know, coming to UM and facing those doubts and the critics there and opponents, you know, maybe they don't see him all the time and seeing him on Saturday if they doubt him and his abilities. But at this point in his career, with what he's been able to do, he actually said he still feels doubted out there during practices. And, you know, so he's really taking it on the defensive backs to go at him, and he comes down with plays. He did it all in the spring. And again, I feel like that only helps the offense because, you know, whether it's a contested catch, he's doing great on this back shoulder, kind of coming back for the ball, and that's what I saw today. So certainly a good sign, a positive sign. Again, X, he's just one of these guys, ultra productive, but first guy on the practice field, you know, he's putting in all the extra work. I had the video with him on Media Day talking about that. I found it very interesting because I do believe in what he was saying about his extra work and, you know, certainly doing it to get ahead, not just with his opponents, but also his teammates, you know, to get to where he's at. He's had to be able to do things a little bit different, and certainly he has. You know, but X wasn't the only wide receiver that impressed me today. This was different. Sam Brown's known as a speed guy. Good to see him out here today. Known as a speed guy, get downfield, and certainly I've seen flashes of that. But what impressed me today was this play, just like a 15-yard, you know, kind of a comeback route where, you know, he planted his feet kind of in the intermediate range, planted and came back about 6 or 7 yards to the ball and caught a pass. And to me, I think that's great because, again, he has the downfield ability with his speed, but just to be able to come back, make that catch, again, results around, you know, roughly 10 yards. It wasn't anything overly impressive. It's what receivers are supposed to do, but with where the defense was and just knowing his abilities, I thought it was great to see that. And again, it wasn't just come back to the ball a couple yards, and some players, some receivers, you have to stay on them about really coming back to the ball. And I thought he did an excellent job of doing that and getting the production that he did on that play, which was, again, a positive sign, something small, but I liked what I saw there. Another impressive catch, similar to Xavier's, was Nye Carr. And I talk about Xavier's ability to get downfield and make plays, but Nye Carr, since he's been here, again, not the biggest guy, but he continues to make these contested catches, these acrobatic, almost kind of amazing catches downfield. Now, I don't know where he's going to slot in with his role on the team this season, but you're seeing these flashes. It was a nice pass by Judd Anderson there on the sideline. I didn't see who the defender was. They were on the far sideline, but I certainly could see that Nye made this great catch, got his feet in bounds, and just impressive, even on one-on-one situations. Again, not the biggest guy, but he just has this knack for making plays, so that was good to see. Again, the freshman making play there. I'm obviously mentioned the offensive plays. They certainly stand out, but I thought there was a nice defensive play. Again, Judd Anderson at quarterback, and he was not able to get a throw off. And really, I thought it was a good move because, with the coverage that Damari Brown in particular and the Mish Powell provided there in the secondary, there really wasn't any opening. So just kind of a good moment there, not a big interception, which I will get to in a little bit here, but just a nice coverage play. Again, kind of forcing it there, but I do want to give credit to Powell and in particular with Powell and Brown there. Another defensive play that stood out to me, again, the guys are in shoulder pads. It's tough to tell the defenders in particular to kind of lay off a little bit, and I saw Zaquan Patterson take Carr down, on a hit over the middle and just being physical. Wasn't a catch, it wasn't a huge hit, but it did knock him to the ground. So again, Patterson, I definitely think he can be a guy to watch for during his freshman year. Certainly he's battling for playing time. Mish Powell had really high praise for him with what he's seen already with Zaquan.
I tell him every day, as a freshman All-American, I tell him every day he's going to be one of the greatest safeties to ever come out of Miami, and he's going to have his name up here. He's super talented, super smart. He's a great tackler. That's something we need at safety. And then he can cover, the safety position, being able to do all those things, and just being so, intelligent on the field right now. And he's probably 17, 18 years old. That's something that, I wish I had. So, I just make sure I just hammer him and just make sure he knows that, you can be really good here. You can play this year, and understand that you just got to be consistent. I mean, that's just the biggest thing of being, an elite player is you got to be able to make the same plays, every single day, not just, once every other practice. So that's just really it. He's been doing a hell of a job. He's a hell of a player.
But certainly Zaquan, trailing behind those guys with Jaden Harris, even Markeith Williams, but a guy that I think can continue to pressure in fall camp and in the early portion of the season, because those guys are going to have to play well if they get the opportunities before him, or else he's going to be given an opportunity. So that's just something to watch for with the true freshman there out of Shaman Abadada. And then another play by a wide receiver, Ray Joseph, he just has this ability to get downfield, burn his defender, the guys that he is lining up against. This one was Isaiah Taylor, just lining up against him, beating him, and Taylor got flagged for a penalty, a PI downfield. So again, not a catch, but drew the PI, and Ray's just providing a lot of pressure. Puts a lot of pressure on the secondary when he's out there downfield, again, against the guys that he is going against in practice. So there were two defensive players I just mentioned that I want to expand on a little bit, and that's Daryl Porter. He talked after practice how he feels like, he wants to get more recognition, either on mock draft boards, from the NFL scouts, recognition, All-America, whatever it might be. He just wants more recognition for what he's done. And I thought of it immediately of his interceptions. It's a big stat for cornerbacks, and certainly it's hard to get. You got to have the opportunities, and sometimes it's limited. But I asked him about getting more interceptions, and he said, yeah, he definitely is working on that. And I was able to follow up and find out how many interceptions thus far in this first week, how many interceptions Daryl has had, because I did see one in practice during a drill where, just jumped the route on that half line drill, jumped the route, made a nice play, really clean interception, and he's had 3. And that seems like a lot in the first week. I think that's great. However, he's not leading the team right now, and that would be Markeith Williams with 5. I think that's great to hear because, again, Jaden Harris, he's in a battle for Jaden Harris, for that starting spot alongside Powell there, and for Markeith to come up big like that, to have a really strong, opening week. I think that's big for him, and maybe he can kind of continue to pressure and certainly keep himself in the conversation because, again, with him and Jaden's just gotten more playing time. Again, and it's not a lot over their careers, but in the defensive secondary on their base play there, that just, Jaden's played a little bit more than Markeith thus far. So I've already spoken a lot about the receivers, defensive backs, but I was focused quite a bit on the offensive line and defensive line. In particular with the offensive line, watching all the drills from afar, but I was able to see them and kind of watch them go through it. I will just say that, Coach Mirabal really is on them, after every rep, telling them, instructing them, helping them through the next rep, what he liked, I assumed, what he liked, what he didn't like. We have been able to be closer at certain times in fall practice or spring practice, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to get closer at some point, although not overly optimistic that we'll actually able to hear his instructions just based on where they're on the field and where we're allowed to be when we're there to watch. But it's just, he's clearly doing a lot of coaching, a lot of instruction, and just watching the guys go through the drills, and then watching the work that they do in the individual drills and translating that into a drill against the defense, offensive line versus defensive line, in an inside run drill, and just watching the contact. Looks a lot better when they have shoulder pads. Certainly it's not full pads, but it's better than the first couple days when they just had the spiders on, and just kind of seeing the physical contact. And these guys are going at it, and everyone on the team knows the importance of the offense and defensive line this year. Both sides of the ball are hoping to lean on them. If they have a good offensive line, they're able to do a lot of different things, either running the ball or passing and buying more time for Cam, but also defensively. If they're, for example, if their coverage isn't as on point as they would like in the secondary, if the defensive line is applying the proper, really strong pressure, that it can really help the secondary out. And it's just going to be something to continue to watch. I'll have some video of the drills. If you haven't seen it yet, already at this point I've posted some wide receiver drills and running backs, but I want to get into the line play. I've been waiting to put that out there because I want to get the pads on so you can see that a little bit more. But again, when they went up against each other, it just was a lot of reps. It was hard to see at times people in front of me, but I'm going to go back through the film, kind of watch some things and let you guys see for yourself. But just in general, my general thoughts, good intensity from afar, watching them go at it, a lot of rapid fire stuff. Immediately after one rep is done, they get up there and go again, which you like to see. Not a lot of standing around in terms of getting into the next rep. They know the time is valuable. Speaking of time is valuable, I feel like I got to get out of here. I'm starting to feel some sprinkles. I'd hate to get a downpour. Lately, it's been the camera battery has been dying on me. But right now, it looks like some rain might be in the area. But again, finally, just an update. I haven't done it yet, but I will be doing episode 6 on College Football 25, the video game series there that I have going. I have some insight that I will be sharing there that I'm excited about for that next episode. So definitely stay tuned. Drop in the comments below. What have I not gotten to? I know there's a lot of players I haven't talked about. I spent a lot of time today talking about some individuals, particularly with X, with Daryl and Markeith and some of the other receivers. But if you're curious, drop in the comments. What would you like me to discuss next? And thank you for watching. Have a good rest of the weekend. Stay safe with the storm. Be prepared. And we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.